Welcome everyone, Dr. Ben here, Functional Medicine Centers. Excited to talk about the gut and the brain today. This is going to be awesome. So much information out there and so many reasons why you or a loved one might be having digestion issues. So stick with us. We're going to get in depth into what's going on. Going to tell you some success stories, some things that we have seen where people have been able to overcome dramatic issues with their digestive tract. So excited to have you on. If you haven't already, like or follow this page, hit that button up top. It will tell you anytime we go live. Lots of great information, over 400 videos on YouTube. Check us out. Functional Medicine Centers of Fort Collins, Phoenix, and coming in May, Nashville, Tennessee. So excited to have you on. If you got questions, pop them down below. Also, let me know where you're watching from. We've got people from Denmark, from the Philippines, from all over the United States. We probably had all 50 states on here, people watching. So love having you on, love getting this information out there. We need to change the thought process of healthcare. Unfortunately, it is sick care, and sick care does not get people better. True health care does, but sick care covers up symptoms. Sick care barely keeps people alive, barely keeps people going. Over 50% of the population is going to be obese in 3 years. It's amazing the path that we are on. We were even talking yesterday about 1 in 25 boys being born today will become autistic at some point in their life. 1 in 25. Amazing the sickness that we are seeing in this country. So let's get into it. Digestion and what that has to do with the brain. So think about this. People, digestion issues all the time. They have nausea, they have indigestion, heartburn, reflux, gas, bloating, diarrhea, constipation, vomiting, all these things. I spoke with a 24-year-old yesterday. We started before Thanksgiving. She was throwing up literally every day. 24 years old, throwing up every day for months and months. We got her by Christmas. She had not thrown up. Talked to her yesterday. She has not thrown up since then. Doing great. Started massage school. Doing amazing. Yesterday, get these numbers. I had a 23-year-old come in. He's at CSU. He is having diarrhea. If he eats food every day, he's having diarrhea 20 times a day. Had a 28-year-old come down from Casper, Wyoming to see us. If he eats food, he's going 20 to 30 times diarrhea per day. We're seeing this rampant all over the place. People are getting nauseous. They're throwing up. I had another kid threw up every day for an entire year before she started working with us. Especially with the young people, digestion issues are rampant. We see it all the way through. So this is not just, oh, I'm getting old and I've now got a digestion issue. We see it all over the place. So a lot of the people that we see, they're not digesting. They're not breaking things down because of what's going on in their brain. So I had somebody ask about leaky gut and saying, what is there a connection to fight or flight response? So we're going to go into that. So Kristen, tips for small sliding hiatal hernia. Well, I'll jump ahead to this other one since we got that question. So the vagus nerve. Give me a thumbs up if you guys have heard about the vagus nerve. The vagal nerve tone, vagus nerve comes off of the brainstem. It's called what we say cranial nerve 10. There's 12 sets of cranial nerves, and the vagus nerve is the cranial nerve number 10. There's some thumbs coming up there. So a lot of people have seen that vagus nerve. Hey, Heldy, good to see you there in Aurora. So the vagus nerve comes off the brainstem. It goes to the gag reflex. That's why in our exam, we test everyone for their gag reflex. I was just working with a doctor recently, and she said, oh, in school, they told us not even to do the gag reflex because it doesn't tell you anything. Well, I'm saying it does, and we know it does, because if someone doesn't have a good gag reflex, hey, Sandy, they are not going to be able to be functioning as well as they should in their vagus nerve. Michelle, good to see you up there in Estes. So that vagus nerve goes down, hits the gag reflex, but then it also goes and does the heart, does the lungs, some of those, but it does a lot to the digestive tract. And yes, and I've learned points to work on that vagus nerve. Great job. And this is what we're going to be getting into. So vagus nerve is going to be telling the digestive tract. It's going to be telling that sphincter in between the esophagus and stomach to open and close at the right time. So if that vagal nerve tone, if it's not like it needs to be, if it's not telling that sphincter what to do, then we're going to have that sliding hiatal hernia. We're going to have openings to where we're having reflux, indigestion, heartburn, a lot of these different things. People think, oh, I've got too much stomach acid. Well, get this. 99% of the people do not have too much stomach acid that have reflux. It's that they actually are producing too much and that, or too little, and that valve is not working like it's supposed to. Hey Tamara, yeah, we'll get to that in a second. So where is that? That sensation can be all across the chest. It can be across the lower ribs, the diaphragm area. Some people feel it burning up this way. So huge part of this is going to be that sensation coming up because that acid is coming up. But most people, as we age and as we're under stress, anybody doing either of those? Any of you guys aging or stressing out there, right? Which is pretty much all of us. We're all under some kind of stress. We're all under some kind of a aging process. And if you are aging and stressing, you're not going to produce enough stomach acid. So this is very common. We see it all the time. People are not able to break down like they're supposed to because they're not producing enough stomach acid. And part of this is that fight or flight response that we're going to get into in a minute. But then if we're not, food sits in the stomach too long, and it's going to push up on that sphincter. So if that sphincter is not closing like it's supposed to, then we get reflux back up into there. So, hey Kristen, good to see you. So that reflux is going to be held at bay if that vagus nerve is working like it's supposed to. The vagus nerve, hey Tamara, good to see you. Yeah, we'd love to see you as well. So that vagus nerve is going to also stimulate peristalsis or gut motility, kind of like if a snake swallows a mouse and it squeezes it through. That's what our digestive tract does. It's not that you eat more food and then it pushes it through and pushes it through. No, it should. If you don't eat for a day, it should be cleared out because everything got moved through. But if your vagus nerve is not working like it's supposed to, it's not going to push things through like it should. So then that's going to cause a lot of indigestion up top. That's going to cause gas, bloating, fermentation, putrefaction, one of my favorite words in the English language there, putrefaction, where that food sits there and it just kind of rots in your digestive tract, and we have sour stomach, we've got gas, bloating. Many of our patients, even in the first week or two, they're like, holy cow, I'm down 2 inches out of my abdomen, I feel less puffy, I don't look pregnant anymore. All these things that they're having issues with can totally change very, very quickly. So when we go down that track, the other thing that happens with the vagus nerve is there's one more sphincter that's really, really important. That's in between the small and large intestine. So give me a thumbs up out there if you guys have heard of SIBO. SIBO, small intestine bacterial overgrowth. SIBO is when stuff from the large intestine comes back into the small intestine that shouldn't be there, and then we start getting all this bad bacteria. There's some thumbs up coming up. Some of you guys had read about this. It's becoming a lot more prevalent. Even primary care physicians are recommending antibiotics for SIBO, but they're not fixing the why. They're not getting why that SIBO is happening, and that's a big part of it is that sphincter, that ileocecal valve. If some of you guys have seen old-time chiropractors, that is a very common thing that they work on is that IC valve. But if you're not fixing why, you can rub that all day long, but it's not going to get better. So we've got to get that valve closing so that it won't go back. Hey Janet, good to see you out there. All right, so the vagus nerve is a big part coming off the brainstem, big part of what's affecting that digestive tract. Now think about this. This is the other really crucial part that is going to be affecting our digestive system, tract, process, everything. And that's whether we are in a sympathetic dominant or parasympathetic state. So in our bodies, there's an autonomic nervous system, automatic things, heart rate, respiration, your pupils constrict and dilate, all these things that happen without you consciously thinking about it. They just happen and keep you alive and go up when they need to go up, go down when they need to go down, and that's broken up into sympathetic dominant and parasympathetic. Sympathetic is, everybody knows this, right? Fight or flight or freeze. Parasympathetic is resting, digesting, reproducing. So we see this all the time in people. If somebody's in a chronic, somebody, right? Pretty much everybody is in this chronic fight or flight pattern, and they're not going to be able to digest. Kind of like, think about when you were a kid and you'd go to the picnic and they go, don't go swimming right after eating, right? Why? Because you'd go eat all your food, the blood's going to your digestive tract, trying to help break that down, digest it, and then you go swimming and you don't have as much blood in your extremities as you should, and you could cramp, you could drown basically out there, vice versa. If you are in a fight or flight state, I always use the example of Black Friday, you're running in to grab that TV, but while you're doing it, you're eating this breakfast burrito, and then you grab that TV and people are like fighting you for it and everything. There's no way you're breaking down your breakfast burrito at that point. So we can do one or the other. And if we are in a chronic fight or flight state, like so many people in this country, there is no way you're going to be able to break down like you should. And so your body's not going to be producing stomach acid, it's not going to be producing enzymes, any of these things that we need to be able to break down our food like we want it to. So what do? Well, we've got to get out of that fight or flight pattern and get more into that resting and digesting. This is why we do brain map, why we do neurofeedback, breathing techniques, a lot of different tools to get people out of that chronic, constant fight or flight state and give them the ability to rest, digest, get them to sleep, and even reproduce. And so a lot of people that we see low sex drive, it's because they're in this chronic fight or flight pattern. If you're being attacked by a mountain lion, the body doesn't care about reproducing. It just wants to survive till the next day. Then maybe it can reproduce. But if you're always, every single day being attacked by a mountain lion, or at least your brain thinks you are, you're not going to get into that reproduction state ever. Your testosterone's going to be down. Guys are going to have a hard time with erections. Females won't have sex drive. All of those things are going to happen if we're in this chronic fight or flight state. But it ultimately comes back to figuring out why somebody's there, calming that down. That's why we do the brain map, do the neurofeedback, do those things to really get that brain out of that fight or flight pattern. We see people that weren't even able to go to the grocery store, and they're able to calm their brain down and get it to a point where they're able to function, they're able to go and live life and really get out of that anxiety, worry, rumination, hyperemotionality, all of those things. So this is a crucial part of digestion, is to think about what's going on in the brain. And then you've got your gut-brain connection, and if the gut's off, it affects the brain and all those things. But there's two very specific systems related to the brain that are going to be throwing off the ability to digest. One, vagal nerve tone. That vagus nerve is not working like it should. Check your gag reflex, see if that stimulates it. If not, very good sign that you've got vagal nerve issues. Number two, get out of that fight or flight. We've talked tons about how to get your brain out of that fight or flight, calm it down, out of that sympathetic dominant. Check some of our other videos, and you'll start learning some different ways to calm that down. So gut, brain, gut, very connected. Digestion is hugely related to what's going on between our ears. If you need help at all with this, guys, give us a holler. Drop questions down below. Love to help people all over the country. We watch these, even if you're watching later, we keep an eye on the stream. So send any messages, do anything that you need to get information to us. We'll help as much as we possibly can. So great to have you guys on board today. We'll be talking to you soon. Hope your digestion improves, and we will see you back. Take care.